hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we are super happy to have you here, and we just ask that you bring an open mind and heart to your listening experience and to be prepared to explore vantage points that I'm convinced will help shift or solidify your current understanding of the ultimate nature of reality. While listening, you'll be exposed to inspiring, empowering, and unifying perspectives that I'm highly confident will yield stellar results in your life if you opt to try them on for size. Also, at optimistic.tv, we have officially begun releasing the first few episodes of our new late-night style, consciousness-elevating video variety talk show, Optimistic, which features live visionary art, soul share interviews, retreat guests here at the Mystic Manor, as well as live musical performances. I'm also super excited to announce that we are currently making plans to release the rest of Season 1 on my personal favorite online streaming service. So stay tuned to optimistic.tv to follow the unfolding development of this exciting Optimistic expansion, as we'll be posting more info and release dates there soon. And in the meantime, be sure to check out, of course, the first few episodes at optimistic.tv as well.
All right, all you positive heads, welcome. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I thought I wanted to continue on with the topic of magic. Samantha and I talked a little bit about magic on Tuesday, and I love this topic, and it's such an expansive topic, and I didn't really know where I wanted to start. And so I thought maybe I'll just find a book. And then I went to my bookcase and I looked around a little bit, and there was this one book that stood out. And then I said, no, I paged around a little bit and thought, no. And then I picked up a Dolores Cannon book and I paged around that for a second. And I thought, yeah, I'll read something out of here. And then I talked to my friend, Lori Spagna. She's been on the podcast a few times. And she happened to mention Melchizedek, which happened to be the book that I had said, no, I'm not going to read from that book, is written by Drunvalo Melchizedek. And so when she said that, I was like, maybe I should go look at that book again. And so I decided that, yes, after giving this book another chance, that this is the book that I'm supposed to be reading today. Because when we think about magic, how do you understand magic and what that even is? And in order to understand what magic is, you really have to have an understanding of the foundations of this reality, of energy, of matter, and how it all works, how it's all structured. If you want to play with it, you got to understand how it works, right? And that's really all magic is just playing with the energy of this illusory physical reality, because it's really all energy. And this book is The Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life, Volume 1. And what I love about the Flower of Life is this is a depiction of the structure of life. And so what a great place to start with understanding our reality and understanding how to be magicians, because that's what we really are. We are all magicians. We are all creating our own reality. And if we understand it a little bit more, then we can play with it. And we can also work with it. So I thought I would start to read this book. And we're just going to start in chapter 1, and we're going to see how far we can go with how much time we have. But I will definitely be picking this book up at another time. And what I love about this is it starts with chapter 1 is remembering our ancient past, how the fall of Atlantis changed our reality. And before I get into this book, I also want to say that I love sharing different perspectives, different opinions on everything, on this podcast. And I think it's fun to switch it up a little bit today and share someone that I don't always share. And maybe the perspective is a little bit different, but let's be open to all of them. Let's consider all of the perspectives because it's all part of our learning journey. So here we go. A little less than 13,000 years ago, something very dramatic happened in the history of our planet that we are going to explore in great detail. Because what happened in the past is now affecting every aspect of our life today. Everything we experience in our daily living, including the particular technologies we use, the wars that erupt, the foods we eat, and even the way we perceive our lives, is the direct result of a certain sequence of events that happened during the end of Atlantean times. The consequences of these ancient events have entirely changed the way we live and interpret reality. Everything is connected. There is only one reality and one God, but there are many, many ways that one reality can be interpreted. In fact, the number of ways to interpret the reality are just about infinite. There are certain realities that many people have agreed on, and these realities are called levels of consciousness. For reasons that we'll get into, there are specific realities that extremely large numbers of beings are focusing on, which include the one you and I are experiencing right now. At one time, we existed on Earth in a very high level of awareness that was far beyond anything we can even imagine right now. We hardly have even the capability to imagine where we once were because who we were then is so out of context with who we are now. Because of the particular events that happened between 16,000 and 13,000 years ago, humanity fell from that very high place through many dimensions and overtones, ever increasing in density until we reached this particular place, which we call the third dimension on planet Earth, the modern world. When we fell, it was like a fall. We were in an uncontrolled spiral of consciousness, moving down through the dimensions of consciousness. We were out of control, and it was very much like falling through space. When we arrived here in third dimension, certain specific changes took place, both physiologically and in the way we functioned in the reality. The most important change was the way that we breathe prana, a Hindu word for the life force energy of this universe. Prana is more critical to our survival than air, water, food, or any other substance, and the manner in which we take this energy into our bodies radically affects how we perceive the reality. In Atlantean times and earlier, the way we breathe prana was directly related to the electromagnetic energy fields that surrounded our bodies. All the energy forms in our fields are geometric, and the one we will be working with is the star tetrahedron, which consists of two interlocked tetrahedrons. Another way of thinking about it is a three-dimensional Star of David. The apex of the upward-pointing tetrahedron terminates one's hand length above the head, and the apex of the downward-pointing tetrahedron terminates one hand length below the feet. A connecting tube runs from the upper apex to the lower point through the body's main energy centers or chakras. This tube, for your body, has the diameter of the circle you make when you touch your longest finger to your thumb. It looks like a glass fluorescent tube, except it has crystalline structure at the ends that fit into the two apexes of the star tetrahedron. Before the fall of Atlantis, we used to bring prana simultaneously up and down this tube, and the two prana flows would meet inside one of our chakras. Specifically, how and where the prana meets has always been an important aspect of this ancient science, which today is still being studied throughout the universe. Another major point in the human body is the pineal gland, located almost in the center of the head, which is a huge factor in consciousness. This gland has degenerated from its original size, comparable to that of a ping pong ball, to its present size, that of a dried pea, because we forgot how to use it a long time ago. And if you don't use it, you lose it. Pranic energy used to flow through the center of the pineal gland. This gland, according to Jacob Lieberman, author of The Light, the Medicine for the Future, looks like an eye, And in some respects, it is literally an eyeball. It is round and has an opening on one portion. In that opening is a lens for focusing light. It's hollow and has color receptors inside. Its primary field of view, though this has not been determined scientifically, is upward towards the heavens. Just as our eyes can look up to 90 degrees to the side from the direction they face, the pineal gland can also look as much as 90 degrees away from its set direction. Just as we cannot look out the back of our heads, the pineal gland cannot look down towards the earth. Held inside the pineal gland, even in its shrunken size, are all the sacred geometries and understandings of exactly how the reality was created. It's all there in every single person. But these understandings are not accessible to us now because we lost our memories during the fall. And without our memories, we started to breathe differently. Instead of taking in prana through the pineal gland and circulating it up and down our central tube, we started breathing it in through the nose and mouth. This caused the prana to bypass the pineal gland, which resulted in our seeing things in a totally different way, through a different interpretation, called good and evil, or polarity consciousness of the one reality. The result of this polarity consciousness has us thinking that we're inside a body looking out, somehow separated from what's out there. This is pure illusion. It feels real, but there is no truth at all to this perception. It's merely the view of reality we have from this fallen state. For example, there is nothing wrong with anything that happens, for God is in control of the creation. But from one point of view, a polarity view, looking at the planet and how it evolves, we should not have fallen down here. In a normal curve of evolution, we should not be here. Something happened to us that was not supposed to happen. We went through a mutation. We had a chromosome breakage, you might say. So the Earth has been on red alert for almost 13,000 years, and many beings and levels of consciousness have been working together to figure out how to get us back onto the path, DNA, where we were before. The effect of this mistaken fall in consciousness and the ensuing efforts to get us back on track is that something really good, something unexpected, something amazing has resulted. Beings from all over the universe who have been trying to help us with our problem have initiated various experiments on us in an effort to assist, some legally and some without license. One particular experiment is resulting in a scenario that no one anywhere had ever dreamed would become a reality, except one person in a single culture from a distant past.
Before we continue on with today's episode, I'd like to take a quick moment to tell you about our sponsor, KiwiCo. We all know this school year will be unlike any other, whether your kids are going back to school or logging into a classroom from home. And as parents, it can be really time consuming to give your kids the extra help they might need this school year. Well, this company, KiwiCo, can deliver a science fair / art class right to your door, and they have an incredible amount of highly creative do-it-yourself projects for all age ranges. As a huge music fan since about 12 years old, I personally would have loved building the real working light-up speaker and headphones when I was just starting to jam out. As a parent now of a grown-up kid, I wish I had had something like KiwiCo when my son was small, because I remember how hard it can be to find creative and new things to keep him busy and challenged on his own or to tackle together. And not only do they have different crates for kids of all ages, but they send one every month. Now, of course, there's no commitment and you can pause or cancel anytime you like. KiwiCo truly is redefining play with hands-on projects that build confidence, creativity, and critical thinking skills. They have something for every kid or kid at heart, and the best part is all UP heads can get your first month free on select crates at kiwico.com/positivehead. That's KIWICO.com/positivehead.
I'm going to take a little break there for just a moment and reiterate that this is a perspective. I find it very, very interesting. It is a concept that I have seen in multiple different ways and in multiple different perspectives, that we were way more evolved in Atlantean and Lemurian times. And we started to abuse our power. And so, yes, we fell from that high level of consciousness to start all over because we had to learn how to do it properly. And so I think this is an interesting interpretation of that. So we go on. The Merkaba. There's another major factor that we are going to focus on in this story. 13,000 years ago, we were aware of something about ourselves that we've since completely forgotten. The geometric energy fields around our bodies can be turned on in a particular way, which is also connected to our breath. These fields used to spin at close to the speed of light around our bodies, but they slowed down and stopped spinning after the fall. When this field is turned back on and spins, it's called a Merkaba, and its usefulness in this reality is unparalleled. It gives us an expanded awareness of who we are, connects us with higher levels of consciousness, and restores the memory of the infinite possibilities of our being. A healthy spinning Merkaba is 50 to 60 feet in diameter, proportionate to one's height. The rotation of a spinning Merkaba can be displayed on a computer monitor using the appropriate instruments, and its appearance is identical with the infrared heat envelope of the galaxy, the same basic shape as the traditional flying saucer. The word Merkaba is made up of three smaller words, Mer, Ka, and Ba, which, as we are using them, came from ancient Egyptian. It is seen in other cultures as Merkaba, Merkaba, and Merkava. There are several pronunciations, but generally you pronounce it as if the three syllables are separate, with equal accents on each. Mer refers to a specific kind of light that was understood in Egypt only during the 18th dynasty. It was seen as two counter-rotating fields of light spinning in the same space, which are generated by certain breathing patterns. Ka refers to the individual spirit, and Ba refers to the spirit's interpretation of its particular reality. In our particular reality, Ba is usually defined as the body or physical reality. Other realities where spirits don't have bodies, it refers to their concepts or interpretation of the reality they bring with them. So, the Merkaba is a counter-rotating field of light that affects spirit and body simultaneously. It is a vehicle that can take spirit and body, or one's interpretation of reality, from one world or dimension to another. In fact, the Merkaba is much more than this, because it can create reality as we move through realities. For our purposes here, however, we will focus mainly on its aspect as an interdimensional vehicle. Merkaba means chariot in Hebrew. That will help us return to our original higher state of consciousness. Returning to our original state. To be clear, returning to our original state is a natural process that can be easy or difficult according to our belief patterns. However, simply becoming involved with the technical relationships of the Merkaba, such as correcting our breathing patterns or mentally realizing the infinite connections to all patterns in life, for example, is not enough. At least, one other factor is even more important than the Merkaba itself, and that is the understanding, realization, and living of divine love. For it is divine love, sometimes referred to as unconditional love, that is the primary factor that allows the Merkaba to become a living field of light. Without divine love, the Merkaba is just a machine, and this machine will have limitations that will never allow the spirit that created it to return home and reach the highest levels of consciousness, the place where there are no levels. I'm going to jump in here really quick and just say that kind of explains what I was talking about before. When we started to misuse our power, we had to be put back down so we could do it all over again the right way. We can't go back there. We can't return home if we haven't learned our lessons properly. So back to this. We must be experiencing and expressing unconditional love in order to move beyond a certain dimension, and the world is fast heading toward that higher place. We are heading away from the place of separatism where we see ourselves inside the body looking out. That view will be gone soon, to be replaced with a different view of reality, where we'll have the sense and knowledge of absolute unity with all life, and that sense will grow more and more as we continue to move upward through each level on our journey home. A higher, inclusive reality. Another component we're going to focus on has many names, but in present-day terms, it's usually referred to as the higher self. In the higher self reality, we literally exist in other worlds besides this one. There are so many dimensions and worlds that it almost surpasses human capability to conceive of it. These levels are very specific and mathematical, and the spacing and the wavelengths in and between these levels are identical to the relationships within musical octaves and other aspects of life. But right now, your third dimensional consciousness has probably been severed from your higher aspect, so you're aware only of what's going on here on Earth. This is not the norm for beings existing in a natural, unfallen state. The norm is that beings first become aware of several levels at once, like chords in music, until finally, as they grow, they become aware of everything everywhere all at once. The following example is unusual, but it demonstrates what it is we've been talking about. I'm in communication right now with someone who is aware of many levels at once. The scientists who are studying her are speechless. They cannot understand how she does what she's doing. She might be sitting in a room, yet she claims to be watching from outer space. NASA checked her out by asking her to see a specific satellite and give specific information that could be known only if someone were actually there. She gave them readings off their instruments, which I'm sure seemed impossible to the scientists. She said she was flying alongside the satellite and simply read them. Her name is Marianne Shinfield. She is legally blind, yet she can walk around a room and no one would know that she cannot see. How does she do it? Recently, she called me, and while we were talking, she asked if I would like to see through her eyes. Of course, I said yes. Within a few breaths, my field of vision opened up, and I was looking at or through what looked like a huge television screen that filled my field of vision. What I saw was astounding. It seemed that I was moving very fast through space without a body. I could see the stars, and at that moment, Marianne and I, seeing through her eyes, were moving alongside a string of comets. She was very close to one of them. It was one of the most real out-of-body experiences I have ever had. Around the perimeter of this quote-unquote TV screen, there were about 12 or 14 smaller TV screens, each one giving extremely fast images. One of them in the upper right-hand corner was flashing rapidly moving images such as triangles, light bulbs, circles, wavy lines, trees, squares, etc. It was the screen that told her what was in the immediate space where her body was located. She could see through these seemingly unrelated images. There was another screen in the bottom left-hand corner where she communicated with other extra-dimensional life that was within the solar system. Here is a person who is in a three-dimensional body on Earth, but has full memory and experience of living in other dimensions. This manner of interpreting the reality is unusual. People do not normally see inner TV screens, but we do exist in many other worlds, even though most of us are not aware of it. You presently exist on probably 5 or more levels, though there is a break between this dimension and others. When you connect with your higher self, you mend that break, after which you start becoming aware of the higher levels, and the higher levels start paying more attention to you. Communication begins. The connection to the higher self is probably the most important thing that could happen in your life, more important than the understanding of any of the information that I'll be giving. Connecting with the higher self is more important than learning to activate the Merkaba, because if you connect yourself to yourself, you will actually get clear information on how to proceed step by step through any reality and how to lead yourself back home into the full consciousness of God. When you connect with your higher self, The rest will happen automatically. You will have to live your life, but everything you do will have great power and wisdom within your actions, thoughts, and emotions. Exactly how to connect with one's higher self is what many people, including myself, have been trying to understand. Many people who have somehow made this connection don't often know how it happened. In this course, I'll attempt to explain exactly how to connect with your higher self. I'll do my best. Oh, I love that. I love that we're ending on this note. So beautiful. This book was written in the early 90s. And I think we have certainly come a long way in our understanding as a collective since that point. I mean, 30 years. We've come a long, long way. He talks about us not being aware, being disconnected. We're very much more aware, very, very connected now. And many of us understand what it's like to be in contact with our higher self, and we know how to talk to it. And hopefully, if you've listened to any of my shows about it, you understand it a little bit more too. So definitely some really good food for thought, some good info to chew on and think about. There's a lot of really good tidbits in there. And that's what I like about this book. There's a lot of really good conceptual, foundational knowledge. And so I will be sharing more of this book. For today, I'm going to leave you with the song. This is Xavier Rudd, Messages. Until next time, love you all.
Also, before we cue up today's song, I wanted to remind you about the game with the universe on our website, where you can choose the first number that comes to your mind and it'll pull up that episode number of the podcast. I've been saying this is a great way to co-create synchronicity and magic with your higher self for quite some time. And if you go to positivehead.com/universe, there is a super fun and simple interface to play this game with your higher self. I firmly believe just by setting the intention to play in this way, it opens up the door for magic, and it's a synchronistic way to hone in on nuggets of wisdom out of the huge catalog of episodes that are specifically appropriate for you at this time in your journey to becoming the next greatest and greatest version of yourself. And it also makes for a super fun way to spark the curiosity of friends and family by having them choose a number, so they'll hopefully go and check out their number as well, which I greatly appreciate because it helps us to spread the word about the podcast. Once again, the address is positivehead.com/universe. And as a quick reminder, if you're curious to learn more about Purium superfoods and why I take them almost every day, be sure to also check out positivehead.com/transformation. On this journey of becoming the next greatest and grandest version of ourselves that we have all embarked upon, I cannot stress the importance of managing your physical vibration enough. And quite honestly, Purium has put together the simplest plan I've found to do so. I have my favorite, the appleberry shake, at least 5 times a week. Once again, to learn more about the Purium transformation, go to positivehead.com/transformation. Or if you want to keep it simple and just try out my favorite, the appleberry shake, you can go straight over to ishoppurium.com and be sure to use code positivehead for 25% off. I'll spell that for you. It's ishoppurium.com. And be sure to use your Positive Head 25% coupon code.
So now come sit down, will you talk with me now? And let me see through your eyes where there is so much light. We are biding our time for these myths to unwind, for these changes we will confront. So please beware with every place that you head, and look to your soul for these things that you know. For the trees that we see cannot forever breathe with the changes they will confront. You know, some people, they just won't understand, or just won't understand these things. Thank you for your message, but I don't understand, or I just won't understand these things. speak out loud of the things you are proud. And if you love this coast, then keep it clean as it evolves, 'cause the way that it shines may just dwindle with time, with the changes it will confront. So you know some people that just won't understand, or just won't understand these things. Thank you for your message, but I don't understand, or just won't understand these things. You know some people, they just won't understand, or just won't understand these things. Thank you for your message, but I don't understand, or just won't understand these things. Understand, or just won't understand these things.